In my earlier segment, I talked about the vigilantes who showed up to evict some squatters. Now, it seemed that it was mostly peaceful and they simply tried to talk to them, but I warned that if the police do not enforce the law and the government cannot defend its people, not that it's the job of the government always to do so, but if the people can't rely on police, they'll take matters into their own hands. Now, my fear is that this will lead to an escalation of vigilante violence in the city and the state, and it'll just further break down the system. But we have another story that's been going viral, and Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks has announced if it means to be on the left is to support bail reform in which men who are found with the severed, dismembered bodies of two middle-aged to elderly individuals. Well, they're in their early 50s, so I think it's still middle-aged. Then she says, then I'm not on the left anymore. Cenk Uygur immediately goes, no, stop. You're on the left, please. Not literally, but you see, what's happening now is I like the idea of bail reform. I really do. I do not believe we should be a country that imprisons people for any amount of time until proven guilty, unless you have a preponderance of evidence for a real threat to the community. It's the way it's supposed to be. Let me explain. You're accused of shoplifting, and they say he stole a minor petty amount. Well, you know, I don't think that accusation warrants you going to jail and being held there without a hearing, without a trial. Why? It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. We should have the right to defend ourselves. And what are we getting now? Why is the audio playing? Yep. Dismembering a corpse and hiding a corpse is certainly part of the story. But where was I? Bail reform. You know where we're going to go with what she's going to be talking about, so it gets pretty serious. But my point is, if someone shoplifts, you get arrested, we can't prove it. If innocent people get caught up in this, they go to jail for even 2 days, they can lose their jobs. It's a detriment to the economy, to the person's rights. If someone is arrested multiple times, at that point, I think it's fair to say the preponderance of evidence is this is a repeat offender and you lock them up. When it comes to violent crimes, it should be plainly clear you do not get let go, even if you are innocent. That's right. If you're accused of murder because you were found in a building with severed and dismembered bodies, as this story I'm about to bring you, as you heard Anna already say. Yeah, I have no problem with them saying, the police found you with these dead bodies. You admit you were living in the home with these dead bodies. We're not going to let you go until we can figure out what's going on. That's fine. That's not what they're doing. And this is the warning that we gave all of these lefties when they were saying things like, let the criminals go. They began letting people go who had been arrested dozens of times. That's not the point of bail reform. But unfortunately, that's the manipulation. I want to play this clip. It's 3 minutes long where Anna breaks down what's going on. And I think I commend Anna. I have never agreed with her more. She hits the nail on the head with the hammer. She is completely right about everything she's saying. I respect it. First, let me give you the story. From Fox 59. Suspects in case of body parts found scattered across Long Island freed without bail. 4 people charged in connection to severed body parts found scattered across Long Island have been freed without bail, according to Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine. This is outrageous and completely unacceptable in a civilized society when our prosecutors are handcuffed and those charged with this heinous crime are mandated by the state to go free. Last Thursday, a student discovered a severed arm of a 53-year-old man at the eastern end of Southard's Pond Park in Babylon, police said. More body parts belonging to the man and a 59-year-old woman were also found in the park. More human remains were found on Tuesday in a wooded area across from 103 Lakeway Drive in West Babylon. By Wednesday morning, 4 suspects, were charged with concealment of a human corpse, hindering prosecution, and tampering with physical evidence. In the courtroom, prosecutors said the 4 defendants hacked the 2 bodies to pieces in a home on Railroad Avenue in Amityville. They said the house was uninhabitable after investigators searched the plumbing for blood and other evidence. Sources indicate the crimes were not gang-related. Less than an hour after being arraigned, all 4 suspects were released without bail. Unfortunately, due to bail reform passed by New York State legislature in 2019, charges relating to the mutilation and disposal of murdered corpses are no longer bail eligible. I just love it. Welcome to the world. I'm telling you, man, the good old boys are coming back. You're going to get some young dudes fresh out of church, and they're going to have baseball bats, and these people getting released better hide. I don't want to live in that world. That's not the world we need to live in. I'm warning that's where this is going. If we don't have the police actually hold these people, and maybe they're innocent, fine, with their own protection. Yo, this is insane. None of the suspects have been charged with murder, but they do expect, sources do expect murder charges soon. Here's what it sounds like. They invaded someone's home, murdered and mutilated the people who lived there, scattered the body parts to try and obfuscate their involvement or something. Now let me play this clip from Anna Kasparian. You can hear for yourself. Actually, maybe you didn't hear what she said because it was on the other speaker, but I'll play it for you now.
Dismembering a corpse and hiding a corpse after dismembering it. Not bail eligible, not a serious crime. I'm not even kidding, guys. Like when Joy Behar outlined that case, I was like, she's crazy. This isn't a thing. This isn't real. This isn't real. So I looked it up. It's real, guys. It's real. Listen, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that. So let me give you the details of the case.
It doesn't mean that.
Okay, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that. So let me give you the details of the case.
It doesn't mean that.
Okay, I don't know. Let me give you the details.
On the left. We're all on the left. We don't want people dismembering folks getting released. Only a couple of lunatic.
Some do.
I know. What I was in the middle of saying is only a couple of lunatic activists are like, yeah, we're pro dismemberment guys being let go. Okay, whatever. You don't represent the left at all.
Dismembered bodies. It's so unfair to put them in prison. Okay, let me give you the details of the actual case, okay?
Anna Kasparian is 100% correct. Cenk Uygur is deflecting and trying to protect the idea of the left. It's insane. Anna is 100% correct. Go on any forums. Go into any of these activist spaces, and these people like Cenk will say, no, it's only few and far between. It's been years, dude. It's been 5 years. We've had people pushed onto the subway tracks and crushed. And these activists have maintained this position. They went out into Times Square and celebrated October 7th's attack on Israel. Okay, the Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th. You want to get into I don't care about Israel. I don't care about, Palestine. Oh, Israel's bad. Palestine's bad. I'm not even trying to get into that. I'm saying I got no problem when you say Hamas is bad. I got no problem when people say that Israel is engaged in excessive actions in Palestine. I say it's war. It's awful. I don't like any of it. I don't want anybody to die. I'm the United States here. Like, I'm an American citizen. I don't know about this foreign policy stuff. I don't want to be involved in it, right? I know a lot about foreign policy. I mean, like, I don't know why we're involved in it. But when you have activists go out cheering and celebrating murder, videos of people gunning people down, and then screaming and crying when there's return fire. I'm not talking about the people who are saying Israel's gone too far. I'm saying the people who celebrated Hamas from the get-go. Anna's correct. I'm sure the Young Turks are going to be mad and be like, well, Tim's conflating this. We're not saying that. No, I get you. Anna's correct. It is not a fringe faction. It is the core of the far left that want destabilization in this country. So perhaps it's fair to say, there's a little middle ground here. Cenk is correct in that your typical person on the left is not advocating for dismemberment and murder. But they do want it, at least in the short term. Why? It's called decolonization. There's more than enough videos of more than enough activists ranging from the least known to the most prominent, where they say, take the land, take their homes, take their property. They call people inhuman. Cenk is wrong about this one.
So 4 people were arrested in New York after body parts were found in Long Island. Okay, dismembered body parts. The victims were, 2 people from Yonkers, older individuals. Suffolk County Police say 44-year-old Stephen Brown, 38-year-old Jeffrey Mackey, 40-year-old Amanda Wallace, and 33-year-old Alexis Neves were charged with concealment of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and hindering prosecution. They have not been charged with murder. Prosecutors told a judge there was so much blood in pipes, sink, shower, and toilet of the Railroad Avenue home in Amityville where the suspects were arrested that it was deemed uninhabitable. Police said they confiscated meat cleavers, butcher knives, flesh, and body parts. Attorneys for Brown and Mackey admitted that their clients lived in that home where the body parts and all that blood was found, but denied chopping up the 59-year-old woman and 53-year-old man whose last known address was in Yonkers. Wallace also lived with Brown and Mackey in Amityville. Police said that Knives is homeless. Okay, all four pleaded not guilty. The judge released them without bail. They were fitted with GPS monitoring and must report in-person probation and surrender their passports.
I don't care about their passports.
Dude, guys, like what? Okay, so did further research because I just couldn't believe it. Here's more. With 2019 state reforms, mutilation and disposal of murdered corpses are among crimes that are no longer bail eligible. The DA said the four went to barbaric lengths to cover the crime. What are we doing? What are we doing?
What are you doing?
What are we doing, Cenk?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we doing? Someone tell me, what the F are we doing?
Yeah, look, no one signed up for this. I don't know how the hell any of these laws passed. I went to every progressive conference there was over the last 20 years. I never heard a single person saying, why don't we let the actual criminals go? Hey, if someone butchers someone and chops them up into little pieces, let's do the kind of criminal justice reform where they would be able to walk out free.
Yeah, come at me right now and tell me I'm the bad guy, because I want these people who dismembered corpses and tried to conceal the evidence in prison. Come at me and tell me I'm the bad guy. Come at me.
Okay, well, let's play this game then. The Young Turks typically take statements from, like me, for instance, misconstrue them in order to garner, I don't know, internet points among the left for reasons, I guess, to generate money or something. So if you're wondering how you got to this point, perhaps it's because you have moderate, rational individuals, perhaps like me and those of you watching, who are smeared relentlessly as far right for pointing this out when y'all proposed the law. And when Cenk says, I don't know how any of these laws got passed, because you were advocating for them, because AOC was advocating for them. And we said, guys, this is not a good idea. I personally support bail reform, but you can't do it this way. And here we are. And now Anna's shocked, I say. Okay, look, I have no interest in running segments where I misconstrue the political positions of Anna Kasparian or Cenk Uygur. I had Cenk on the Culture War podcast, and what happened? Y'all watched what happened. I get all these messages from people saying, Tim, how could you be so calm and rational with Cenk doing what he was doing? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Famously, several instances where I said something like the Ahmaud Arbery case, the facts of the case are interesting, and Cenk just says, y'all are racist, they killed a jogger, and I'm like, that's not the facts of the case. So if you are wondering, good sir, how we come to this point, I believe the dam has broken, especially for Anna. Because I feel like Anna, Cenk, I think, is a grifter. I think he's an irrational, emotional person. And he has a defensive barrier where when I was having a conversation with him and I said, like the Ahmaud Arbery case, the facts of the case, for those that aren't familiar, is that there was a black man who was witnessed burglarizing a home. Fact. The police went door to door with a picture saying, we're looking for this man. He's a suspect in the string of burglaries that affected this neighborhood. A gun had been stolen. Eventually, someone reported to the McMichaels, the father and son who are in prison, that they believe the suspect was seen fleeing. And so they called the police. The police said, do not pursue. They pursued anyway, probably shouldn't have, armed, and somehow ended up in front of Ahmaud Arbery. Another man had filmed Arbery running and decided to follow behind and film what was happening, uninvolved with the McMichaels in any way. Ahmaud Arbery ran from behind the truck of the McMichaels, around the vehicle, and then flanked left and engaged in physical conflict with, I believe, Travis, the son, fighting over a shotgun. In the scuffle, the shotgun went off, hitting Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, you're fighting for a gun. These things happen. Ahmaud Arbery dies. He was not jogging. He was not a jogger. And the question in the case, as the jury are the arbiters of fact and not law, the question of fact was, did the McMichaels have the right to engage in a citizen's arrest of an alleged felony suspect, I should say, not felon, but felony suspect. That is to say, the law says if a felony was committed, you do not need to be a witness to the crime in order to engage in citizen's arrest. If it is a misdemeanor, you do. However, the law was not worded very well. I believe it was missing a comma of some sort. And so there were no instructions provided to the jury as to that finding of fact. And the jury found if the law is interpreted blankly, they say the law says you can't engage in citizen's arrest. That was the issue of the Ahmaud Arbery case, not that white men got in a truck to lynch a black man. But Cenk Uygur pursued that narrative and he genuinely believed it. Now, I think Cenk is putting up a defensive barrier because, well, he probably knows something doesn't seem right in that story, but he doesn't want to oppose his own base by saying otherwise. I've had no problem disagreeing with my own audience when it comes to police, when it comes to the TikTok bill or otherwise. And I've long said, if in the end, everyone just cancels on me and refuses to watch ever again and my viewership shrinks, so be it. I'm not playing that game where I just say things for the sake of getting an audience. I think Cenk Uygur is doing that. Anna Kasparian, not so much. Why? Well, she's not running the business. So what happens for Anna is she's not there to maintain some facade, only a little bit. But more and more as the personal slights against
Look, guys.
Oh, here she goes, about to go off. More and more as there are personal slights against her for saying things like, why are we supporting people who were found in a home with blood and guts and flesh? They should be in jail and then they'll have their trial. I completely agree. The world you live in, Anna, you're dancing on the edge of the matrix, lady. Sooner or later, and I think already at this point, you are right wing. Welcome to, I don't know what you'd call it, the post-liberal, disaffected liberal, whatever you want to say. Because I assure you, this will not change. Your statements today, as statements have been made numerous times by me and many others, from conservative to liberal, now post-liberal, they call it, disaffected liberal. We have said, why are you doing this? Don't pass these laws, and it does not change. It only gets worse. However, when the likes of Anna Kasparian and even Cenk Uygur are forced to recognize the psychotic meltdown that is the rule of law, then I think maybe positive change comes because the dam is breaking. Let's play the rest of this clip.
Come at me.
Look, guys.
Insane. You guys are insane. Anyone who thinks this is okay is insane. And everyone else in New York has to suffer the consequences of this with random bag checks at the subway by National Guard troops.
That's right. As Sean Fitzgerald, actual Justice Warrior, pointed out, a lot of people in America, and yes, that includes on the left, feel exactly like Anna Kasparian in this mega rant. How does it make sense that you have the National Guard searching old ladies in the subway, but the 4 arrested for dismembering 2 people get released automatically without bail? I've got a clip from the YouTube video from the full Young Turks. They played this segment from The View. Let me play this for you now.
You deployed hundreds of state police and National Guard troops into the subway system. But since the pandemic, you have done a wonderful job. Overall crime is down in the city.
Yes, it is.
So my question to you is why now? Why deploy into the subway? And how do you respond to some of your fellow Democrats calling the move theatrics that play into Republican narratives that blue cities are poorly run war zones?
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. My job is to keep people safe. I have to keep, any way I can, I'm going to keep New Yorkers safe. And I'll tell you who does show appreciation for the people out there on the streets.
I don't blame Hochul. I really don't. She didn't pass the law. She wasn't even in office when that law got passed. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, make sure I got this one right, because I'm pretty sure that was under Cuomo, 2021. She went in office when this 2019 law passed. Let me tell you, Anna and Cenk, more so Anna, because I got to be honest, Anna, I don't think Cenk is a reasonable guy. I think he's a tribal partisan. And I try to have a conversation with him, and he just yells, racist, you're racist. That's not solving anything. Anna, I think you've misrepresented many of my positions in the past, but sure, fine, whatever. I'll address you and to anyone who's interested. These laws get passed because activist pressure. The pressure from activists is not because they actually want dismembered bodies. It's because they want dissolution of government. When the New York Times, let me pull this one up. Let me pull this one up for you. Abolish the police, okay? Here we go. Yes, we mean literally abolish the police because reform won't happen. 2020. When the activists started saying abolish the police, and the left, in general, not every single person, runs defense for it, even the New York Times saying, no, we really do want to get rid of all police. Let me ask you, Anna, if you are concerned right now about individuals who were arrested and they found blood and guts and flesh in their home, indicating very likely that they murdered and dismembered these people. If you're concerned about that, I ask you, if you abolish the police, who stops these people at all? Sure, I believe innocent until proven guilty. I'm actually a fan of bail reform, but in its current iteration, it was fairly obvious it wasn't working. So that's why I say, hey, maybe we need to rethink this. This is not working the way we expect it to. When the far left comes out and says abolish the police, and the NYPD is defunded to the tune of $1 billion, and it was, as well as many other police departments, and I'm called far right for saying, hey, oh, slow down there, guys. What are you doing? I give you, Anna, the world that the left asked for. There's not going to be a point where someone says, can we get a law passed that results in murderers going free? What's going to happen is they're going to say, we should pass a law that restricts whether or not the state can impose bail requirements on individuals if it's unconstitutional. And you know what that means? It means that the guilty will go free from time to time. Now, I recognize that. And I think there is a challenge in balancing safety, freedom, security, etc. That's why I'm for the Second Amendment. And I think with these lunatics on the loose, I hope you can defend yourselves. But this is the reality. There is no happy medium. There is no beautiful, perfect world. This is what you get. So if you're wondering how it happened and you weren't for it, it's called unintended consequences. Everything has them. When it comes to the TikTok bill, as a total aside, as I wrap this segment up, many people are saying it gives the president crazy powers. What bothers me the most is that people on the right, Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, are giving you the most extreme interpretation of the bill and omitting from their arguments the restrictions the bill has in place, of which there are many. I certainly agree. The TikTok divestiture bill, which if TikTok does not divest from China would be banned from U.S. services. You'd still be allowed to use it in the United States, still have it on your phone, still post content. They just can't host it in American servers and things like that. Yeah, there is a possibility they could construe certain things, but let's be real. My problem is not the bill, the argument. It's that people are misrepresenting it to win a political argument. That'll always be my problem. The reality is the bill, you can't ban any news websites. Tucker Carlson said, gives the president the power to ban any news website. No, it doesn't. It certainly does not. It has to be a website with at least 1 million active users who can log in and post photo, video, and text content and share with each other and view that content. It requires divestment first. It requires, it allows for, I should say, judicial review, half-year time to file a challenge. And the end result is divesting from an individual. Now, don't get me wrong. There are issues there. The problem is all bills have these holes in them. It is impossible to make a perfect airtight bill. There will always be the ability for a misconstrued interpretation of the law. I read this great story about drinking in New York City. And when they passed the bill saying no public drinking, one of the city councilmen in New York said, let it never be construed that this bill would stop a construction worker from enjoying a beer on his lunch break. Certainly that's what happened. So by all means, you can argue if the criteria in the bill are met, certain sites, apps, etc., could be restricted in some way. First, it's divestment, and if that, then banning. So it is a bit circuitous. My only problem is the misrepresentation. The reality is, you name any bill. We went through the Congress.gov website looking at all these bills, and tons of them have crazy, crazy powers being granted to bureaucrats, politicians, president, etc. One of them would allow a bureaucrat to ban food. They could misconstrue a bill to go to any local farm and say, you are no longer allowed to grow your own chickens, beef, whatever. Nobody's complaining about that one, just the TikTok one. That's my point. The unintended consequences of all bills are apparent. They will happen. And so we have to do our best. But that literally means when you say bail reform, standing behind your beautiful goals lies the demons that will be awakened. There is no happy medium. There is always the battle. And perhaps now for Anna, not so much Cenk, maybe you start to realize that there are deeply evil people who are standing behind these bills. I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans, who will do evil things. Same goes for the TikTok divestiture bill. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.